difference from the night before. So it's incredible, but the racers love it. Every year they look forward to it, and that's one of the things that makes this race unique is the track changes so much. So again, you got a great response from some great racers, and right now we're just over 140 entries so far for the show. So we'll be close to the 200 mark again, and it's going to be a great weekend of racing.
And that's one thing about this show, and I remember the first year I came down to do this live on Spreaker. I was up there next to the tower, the Budweiser Tower, before it was the Mike Mosier Tower, and you personally walked up and handed me an itinerary. And I looked at you like, what is this? And he hands me this itinerary, and 6 o'clock. What time does qualifying start?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. So
5 o'clock.
We're going to run qualifying from 5 to whatever, and then the first heat race rolls off at 6:05, and at 6:05 to 6:11, and from 6:13 to 6:18, and I'm looking at this going, there is absolutely no way this is possible, and with an 11 o'clock curfew, correct?
Yep, 11 o'clock.
And I'm looking at this, and I mean, we've got almost 200 race cars at the show, and we've got this schedule printed out on how we're going to do this. And I'm thinking, there is absolutely no way we can do this. You don't know the variables, the red flags and wrecks and cautions and all that stuff. Final checkered flag flew at 10:57.
That's incredible. Hey, Scott, this is Josh. This is the announcer up here at Sunset Speedway at Banks, Oregon. Part of Moxie stuff. And when Corey told me that we got a call from you again, and bringing us back down, I sat there and I'm like, okay, hey, the Budweiser Nationals. I've heard about it, of course. I got a chance to see it on online and get to see a bunch of videos, and then I started doing a little bit of research. Started talking to a little bit of people. Over 9,000 fans, over 200 race cars, and then Corey breaks down what you're talking about this itinerary. Because, we have our itinerary up here, and we deal with 100 and 120 cars a night or whatever, and there's intermission and stuff, and Corey's like, yeah, there's not going to be no intermission. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, dude, this is how it lays down. And listening to, last year's broadcast and everything else, I cannot thank you enough for having us down. This is going to be an exciting time.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having you guys down here. Like I said, it's our big event for the year. This is the 31st annual. Personally, my 14th Bud National I've put on. I was fortunate that this race was already in place when I purchased the Speedway, but this thing just keeps rolling and creating momentum by itself, and it's one of those races that people just want to be able to put on their resume that they've won the Bud National. So it's a great event. Looking forward to having you guys down, and I'll tell you what, I've already seen the itinerary, and it looks the same as it has every single year. And once we throw the first green flag, we're not going to stop. And I got a great crew lined up. My guys, they know how to get it done. We practice all year long to get ready for this weekend. So it's going to be great.
So it's an awesome show, and I'm telling you, it gets bigger and bigger every year. And this is one of those deals where at the beginning of the season, everybody in California looks for that date and says, okay, we're going to be ready. Looking at Facebook this week, I can't tell you how many California drivers I've seen with pictures of cars in their shop saying 3 days, 2 days. These guys are pumped for this show.
Yeah, again, I'm pretty fortunate this race was already put in place, and I was able to continue it. But we're the second weekend of October every year, and as soon as September's finished and everybody's done point racing, they set their minds to the Bud Nationals. So it's a great way to start all the open shows out here on the West Coast, and we're really fortunate. We got a lot of people that support us and get a lot of big names and get a lot of new visitors every year because everybody wants to come down and try out the Bud Nationals.
Well, that's one thing I was going to say is coming to that show, I go through and I talk to all the drivers in each, the late models, and we're doing late models and modifieds this year. But since I've been doing the show down there with you guys, we've had drivers from Missouri. We've had drivers from Iowa last year. This is a big thing that's really catching on, and people are coming out here to race against the best talent on the West Coast. That's got to make you feel pretty proud.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we've got a good bunch of drivers that are local from Bakersfield, but still we pull a lot of people from out of town, out of state for this event, and that's what, the mystique about it. And all of our local fans it's their chance to see all these racers from Oregon, from Colorado, from Nevada, Arizona that come over. So, yeah, it's just one of those events that people mark on their calendar to be sure and hit, and it's going to be another one of those in the 31st annual this weekend.
Is there any major changes we can expect for this year, or anything new on the agenda for the Bud Nationals?
No, I don't have any time for this event to make any changes like you're talking about. I mean, once we start, we got just a shade under 600 laps to race over the 2 days. So, no, we don't throw anything new at it. It's just the same racing format. The late models and the modifieds will run independent shows, complete shows on Friday and Saturday nights, and the other divisions will do heat racing on Friday and come back with mains on Saturday. So
right.
So got a question here in the last say a month or so. You had a little bit of drama going into this weekend, of course, and a couple modifieds. A couple drivers. We had one particularly on, and we were talking about the incident that happened over there on the last lap over there in
Hounds and Sawyer.
Yeah, him and Sawyer. So, have you had a talk with these guys personally and said, "Hey, you guys, we understand, there's old school, new school coming in. We understand this is a big race." Have you talked to some of these drivers?
Absolutely not. Those two racers are they've got a lot of laps around my track. As a matter of fact, they came back the very next weekend, and
did the
Scott
same.
Pounds led the race and coming down to the white flag again, and Robbie Sawyer was right behind him, and then we had another pass. So they're professional racers. They took care of it. There was a lot of media on it and hype, but they put it behind them and came right back the next weekend and put on another good show. So both of them will be here this weekend, and and Bradley, Scott's son's right there in the mix as well. So it'll be another great event, and that's one division that people are closely.
So we're talking about. You're talking about that, of course, we're in the media, and of course, we talk about the drama, especially going down to the 31st annual Budweiser Nationals there at Bakersfield. Of course, we had to bring it up. And so the thing is that I like your answer. And the reason why I like your answer is because, let the racers be racers. Stop policing everybody. Stop babysitting everybody, because you know what? Those guys are going to go out there and do what they're going to do each and every lap, regardless, how much you sit there and try to babysit.
And you're
them.
talking about Sawyer and Pounds.
That's right.
Two hardcore racers. I mean, they're racers to the bone. It doesn't matter if you try to police them or not. Those guys are going to go out and drive their race cars the hardest they can, and you can guarantee those two drivers, amongst the rest of the talent you'll see in the modifieds, are going to give that crowd one heck of a show.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing, too, is that's a reason why, Corey has done a lot of research, for me to give me to get ready to prepare for this. I'm not sure how much I can prepare until I'm down there. But
it's an experience. It really is. And
but I'm excited.
These guys are the way this thing rolls off. I mean, the first time I saw it, I was like, it's unbelievable. From the first qualifying lap to the final checkered flag, there is no intermission. It's bang, 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 bang. One race is rolling off, the next one's rolling on, and it's impressive. They've got it figured out, and you guys have done a heck of a job with it. And we've spent some time. We've talked with Brian Smith, and we've talked with
Clay Daly,
Sully, and these guys. We're looking forward to working with those guys, Scott. I mean, it's always a fun show with you and your crew down there.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, the guys are set to go. Like I said, when we hit the month end of August, and we're into September. That's the only thing my crew's looking is their mindset on this Bud Nationals, getting ready for the shotgun, firing the heat races through. Because with the time restraints that we're against, we do start a little bit early. And normally during the season, we're starting at 6:00, and in the summer at 7:00. So we do bump it back to 5:00 just to help us to get all this racing in.
Yeah.
But everybody, and as far as the racers go, their demeanors change too. I mean, they understand that that we have a lot of racing, and they help us a bunch by getting in line, getting up there for their heat races, because they know we're not going to wait on them, but they do a great job, and they know they want to get through that heat race and get directly into the main, because the last thing they want to do is battle through a B main. So the racing's real clean. So they're doing their part, but my crew's ready to go, and that's what makes the event so cool.
Like last year, I know it was the one and done deal. Are we still doing that this year?
It's going to be one and done in the heat races, and then it'll be 2 yellows in the B mains and C mains if we have them, B mains, and then the A mains will be 2 yellows. And again, that's just for the time restraints because we got so much racing to do, and that's why we implement that.
So when you talk about the one and done, now if you're basically caught up in something and you're not the one that brings it up, but you do spin because either you're avoiding something, is that counted on you, or do you just go to the back?
No, if you can stop at our track. We allow a racer to stop. If they don't make contact in the incident, they'll get their spot back. But if they cause the yellow or if they cause the yellow, then they're done.
Sounds good.
So, I'll tell you what, that can hurt a guy against this competition down there because you got to be on your A game at this Bud Nationals. This is big time stuff.
No, and that's good. I mean, because that basically it keeps these guys from overdriving themselves. And if you do overdrive yourself and you spin, guess what? Now you just paid the penalty.
Right, and we've seen that work to some guys' disadvantage. And I think it was last year we saw a guy in a modified have a bad start, get a flat tire, go to the back, and we saw 3 or 4 cautions in one heat race. And this guy that was 8th got into the main simply by attrition and guys with the one and done rule. I mean, it went both ways, and if you could be that lucky guy, you know. I mean, it's not a bad deal when it's used right in the heat races.
So Scott, we're talking about a little bit of the weather now. Up here, we're extremely under the downpour of rain and all that. What does the weather forecast look like for the Budweiser Nationals?
Oh, you know what? We're in California, and it never rains in California, so we don't have to worry about that. But you know, it's looking. The high is like 82 both days, so the weather's going to be perfect. You know, it'll cool off in the evenings and probably be down in the high 50s. So couldn't ask for a better weather forecast for the next 2 days for racing. So we're excited about that.
I'm excited about that because last year it was so hot, and there was, I mean, not for the whole time we were there for that show, there wasn't a wisp of a wind. I mean, it was so hot my tongue was sweating.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of wind, so there'll probably be a breeze coming up, and it, you know, where the track's location is, it notoriously blows southwesterly or easterly, so it blows over the scoreboard and away from the fans, which is cool. So should be another great night. The weather will be perfect. Looking to have a great response. Looking to have a packed grandstands and a great night of racing.
Well, and that's one thing I was telling Josh a couple shows ago. We were talking about the track itself, and I said, wait until you get down here and you see these grandstands, how they're put together and how they wrap, you know, from just past the apex of 3 and 4 all the way down towards turn 1, and they're full. While we're on the air, Josh goes on the computer and Googles, you know, images of Bakersfield Speedway, and he saw your grandstands and his jaw just dropped. Now, where he's at, I mean, what do you guys get? An average about 1,200 fans, 1,500?
Yeah. That's a good deal. You know, we only have a front stretch with about, I don't know, 6 rows, 7 rows high. Actually 20 rows high is our highest grandstand.
Right.
Usually 6, 7 rows high. And we're just a small track. And so, yeah, 1,200 is a pretty good packed house.
When he saw the image on Google of your track at the Bud Nationals, he was like, what have I done?
So speaking on that, though, is it an exaggeration, Scott, that 9,000 spectators will be at your track this weekend?
Well, I mean, my grandstands hold 3,200 people, so yeah, I mean that's a pretty good exaggeration. But we'll put a lot of people in there. I mean, Friday night's off a little bit just because of high school football. You know, that's big in Bakersfield here, and people attend that. But then Saturday we get pretty well filled up. But you know, when you count all the racers and their crews and the people in the grandstands and all that, I mean, we're gonna have quite a few people in there over the weekend.
You guys pack them in awful tight there. I mean, it's huge. Now, we were talking to Mike Patterson, and he was saying
that football's gone this weekend.
Football is out of town, right? Or no football this weekend, so you're going to have more people there. That's what he's saying.
Well, we have high school football is big in Bakersfield, so there's a few games going on, but it affects us a little bit, but not like, you know, not real bad. We'll still have a nice gate on Friday night and a lot of people out just because of this event carries so much momentum and people know about it. So, but there's a few high school football games going on.
So how much advertising do you do actually in Bakersfield for this race? or is it just more word of mouth?
We do quite a bit. We're fortunate that we're tied in with the number one country music station here in town, and we run probably 50, 60 commercials on that for the last for the week of, and then we do a lot of print work and sign work, and then of course the Facebook things and videos and stuff that's out. I mean, we get a lot of exposure that way, which helps put people through the front gate.
So I gave Corey, because we were talking about making you a commercial and stuff like that.